you were great back there.
You weren't so bad yourself.
Still isn't over.
Aren't you the sweetest space toy I ever met?
I love you.
I know.
Hey, I'm Jason.
Oh, hello there.
Couldn't be more excited to join us. Week 3 of what even is love? Today we're talking about one of the hardest topics we're going to talk about in this entire series. How do you and I love our families? This is one of the most difficult things that you and I can learn to do. Does God really care if we love our annoying little sister, our frustrating older brother, that parent that doesn't really feel like they love us? How does God think about the way that we should be loving our families? My friend Shanna says this, and I totally agree. She said, if your family is absolutely chaotic, then your family is normal. What? You heard that right. Your family is normal if it's an absolute mess. Families can be frustrating and chaotic and broken and disconnected and discombobulated and generous and life-giving and frustrating and annoying. And sometimes they can be all of those things in the exact same week. And so if that's true, what does God think about the way that you and I treat our families? And what is love, and how am I supposed to love the people that I'm living with every single day? If you think your family is absolutely crazy, my family is even more crazy. I have a mom, a dad, I have an older brother, and I have 10 younger brothers and sisters. You heard that correctly, 10 younger brothers and sisters. I have 6 little sisters. I have 4 little brothers, and every single one of them knows the exact way to annoy me out of my skull. And so what do we do with them? What do you do with your families? What do I do with my families? And at the end of the day, what if God cared deeply about how you and I treated our little brothers and our little sisters? What if God actually cared how you talked to your mom, how you obeyed your parents, how you operated with your grandparents? And if God does care about those things, maybe we should care about them too. Jesus literally says, how you treat the least of these, like the least deserving of the love, the least likely to be liked or loved by you, how you treat the people that are the most unlikely to be loved is how you treat him. You see, Jesus loved us, and he loved us even when we didn't deserve that love, and he expects us to love people even when they don't deserve it from us. And I'll prove it to you. In Romans 12, this is what it says. Live in harmony with each other. Don't be too proud to enjoy the company of ordinary people like your younger siblings and think that you know it all. As an older brother and sister, I know it all. I know way more than my younger brothers and sisters. You're not gonna believe this. I was homeschooled. I didn't even get a break Monday through Friday to go to school to hang out with my friends. You know who my friends had to be? My younger brothers and sisters and my older brother. And so we were locked in rooms together all the time. And so, man, I gotta tell you, really quick, it was super easy for me to become proud, to think that I was better than them, to think that I knew more than them. And sometimes I acted in a way that hurt them. I would correct them all the time. I would act like the parent of my younger brothers and sisters. And everybody knows this if you have an older brother and sister. The worst thing that an older brother and sister do is try to parent the youngers. That ticks us younger people off, doesn't it? And so you and I have to think about the way that we're treating. But it goes on. It doesn't just stop there. It goes on and says this. Never pay back evil with more evil. Do things in such a way that everyone can see you are honorable. I don't always live this way. I hardly ever lived this way when I was growing up. Now, on a rare occasion, I would get it right, but most of my life, it was me getting it wrong. I didn't realize how much that God cared about the way that I loved the people that were around me all the time. I remember one time specifically, I annoyed my brother, his name was Andrew, so much. And the whole family annoyed Andrew so much because we knew he had anger problems, and it was hilarious when he would lose control and blow up in fits of rage that we annoyed him over and over again, and he snapped. He literally grabbed a steak knife.
See what you have! No!
And chased us around in the house. Now, he didn't catch us because he's slow, but he literally, I don't know what would happen if he did catch us. But we enjoyed frustrating him. And we paid back evil for evil all the time. I remember one time specifically, I had a younger brother, and we were wrestling one time, and I got angry, and I accidentally got stuck between the wall and a couch. And he was on top of me, and I was stronger than him. I was bigger than him. I could easily beat him up. But in that position, I was stuck. And so he had his knee on my chest, and I was literally stuck for a whole minute. It felt like 6 days, but I was stuck in this spot. And I told him, if I ever get out of here, I will murder you. I meant it in the moment, but that moment, I only wanted to repay evil for evil. And so what do we do? And does God really care if I'm teasing my siblings? Does God really care if I'm mean to an older brother and sister? Does God really care if I talk back to my parents? What if he does?
Oh, yes, he did.
How should it change how you and I live? There was a guy in the Bible, his name is Joseph, and I totally relate to Joseph, and he did something that I don't think I could ever do. He looked exactly like Jesus, the way that he loved his brothers and sisters. And so this is where it all started. Joseph's father had favorites. It says right here in Genesis 37:3, Jacob loved Joseph, that's his father. Jacob, the father, loved Joseph more than any of his other children. I know a lot of us can relate to that. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest. His brothers were driven to hurt Joseph. In fact, not only did they hurt him, but they told their father that he died. But really what his brothers did is they sold him as a slave to the Egyptians. How crazy is that? They literally took their brother and they gave him to strangers to be whipped and to be working as a slave. And they didn't see him for a super long time. Joseph moved to Egypt, and he was honorable. He was honorable. He treated people not like he was better than them, but that they deserved the love of God. And Joseph had experienced the love of God. He experienced the love of his father. And so he chose to live in a way that was loving toward the people around him, even loving toward his slave masters. And that honorable living caused Joseph to rise among the ranks of the Egyptians, so much so that at one point, Joseph was the second in command of all of Egypt. He was living in pyramids or something. I don't even know how that works, but he was literally second in command in Egypt, and then chaos broke out. And I can tell you, if you're in a family, chaos is going to break out. And so Joseph hadn't seen his family for 20 years, but the famine showed up to Egypt. And so Joseph, being the leader that he was, being the honorable person that he was, saved up a whole bunch of food, and he was feeding not only all of the Egyptians in his control, but all of the neighboring nations. And guess who showed up in the food line 22 years after he was sold into slavery? It was his brothers. The same people that beat him and threw him in a pit and sold him into slavery. And so Joseph has a tough decision. What does he do? Does he repay evil for evil? Joseph could snap his fingers, and all of the people who did evil to Joseph, his brothers, could instantly be put to death. For 22 years, I don't know what Joseph was thinking about, but if it was me, I was like, if I ever get the chance to exert my vengeance on my brothers, it's just like me with my brother on top of me, stuck in that spot. If I ever get out of this dark and lonely place, you are dead. And yet Joseph did something that we can all learn from. He did something that I strive to do one day. Let's read it from the Bible. Joseph said to his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. So he looked at his brothers and he said, don't be afraid. I will continue to take care of you and your children. Here's the truth. You cannot control your family, but you can control how you interact with your family. You cannot control your parents, but you can control how you speak to them. You cannot control your siblings. Believe me, I've tried. But you can control the way that you love them well. And at the end of the day, they don't deserve it. You and I don't deserve to be treated well by our siblings. We've wronged them so many times. But here's what I do know. There's a God who loves you. And there is a God who, whether you like it or not, loves your brothers and sisters and loves your mom and dad and your grandpa too. And so because of that, the way that we treat the people that we live with is the way that we would treat Jesus if he lived with us. And so you and I have a choice every single day to love the people around us better than they love us. Make it a competition. What if you decided I'm going to love my brother, my sister, my mom, my dad better than they could ever love me? How would your life be different? How would your family be different? How would you bring such peace and harmony into your family's life? And at the end of the day, can I tell you, the only reason we should do that is because Jesus did it for us. Jesus loved you on your worst day. Jesus knows every mistake that you and I have made, and yet he's chosen to forgive us and to love us anyways. And you and I can do the same. Not because it's easy, but because God taught us to love, and Jesus, through his example, showed us how we can forgive those even when they've done evil to us. So what if we did this? What if all of Crossroads students decided that we are going to be the best brothers, the best sisters, the best sons, and the best daughters in the world? And how would that peace change our families forever?